Hello, Year 11 students. So I have been asked to do a simple explanation of introductions for your single text response essay. And you know that we're doing this on the novella, The Longest Memory by Fred de Gois. And so I'm going to just present a really basic overview on what should be in an introduction. Now, I'm just going to flag that this is only one way of doing an introduction. There are lots of possible ways, and so you might find that if you are at another school or if you do tutoring, that you learn a different way. You may see sample essays that have a different kind of structure, but generally these three elements are actually in most introductions. They may not always appear in the same order, but they will be there. And so I'm going to break it down for you now. So this is the topic that I'm using to base the response on. It's The Longest Memory presents a world full of hopelessness and pessimism. Do you agree? And so when we get a topic like this, particularly when you see do you agree, you have to actually toss up the ideas in your head and work out the for and against kind of case. So it's a world of hopelessness and pessimism. And I'm going to go with, I think the world is hopeless for the slaves for many reasons. But I'm also going to challenge that and say but it's not only completely a world of hopelessness, because there are examples of characters who stand up against the system and fight for change and have hope for a better world. So that's going to be kind of the argument that I'm going to take for this essay. And so the acronym, or like the way that I structure my introductions, uses these letters. TPC is what you need to learn. T is introducing the text. Now, you might choose a really specific, if you're aiming high, you might want to choose a text and the main idea of the essay topic here. But for the purpose of this, I just want to show the basics. So really, all you need to do is introduce the world of the text. Now, what I mean by that is I want the name of the text, the genre, the name of the author, and something about the setting. And I'm going to try and make it sound good. Honestly, you can probably memorize a generic sentence and do quite well at the high to medium level. A very high, you might want to adapt your first sentence so that it touches on the topic, the main idea in your essay topic as well. But I'm not going to go there with this because this is just the basics, like Introductions 101. Then, once you've done that, so you've got one sentence introducing the text, then I want you to write the paragraph ideas that you're going to put in your essay. So these are in order that you're going to write them in your essay. Basically, the topic sentences for your body paragraphs, 1, 2, and 3. Now, you can write them in 3 separate sentences. You can write them in 2 sentences, or you can write them in 1 sentence. So this is okay, depending on how you feel comfortable. What I've done to make it really simple in this one is I've written 3 sentences. So I've written 1 sentence per body paragraph. And when you read my introduction, you should be able to guess what my body paragraphs are going to be about. So I'm basically outlining my first body paragraph will be about this sentence. My second body paragraph will be about the second sentence. Then the third body paragraph will be about my third sentence. Then, once we've written my 3 paragraph ideas, we're going to write our contention statement. That's the C part of TPC. And that's like your answer to the question. Or another way of saying it is like, if you're going to summarize your whole essay in just 1 sentence, what would you write? Like, what's your basic main idea of the whole essay, your answer to the question, your response in one sentence, and you state that last. So what I'm going to do is show you what I did, and I tried to make it a kind of basic aiming introduction to this sentence, of this essay question. The longest memory presents a world full of hopelessness and pessimism. Do you agree? So for following this structure, I should start with the text. Fred Dugois' novella, The Longest Memory, remember that we underline the name of the text, is centered around the lives of slaves on a Virginian plantation in the 1790s to 1800s. So it's got the name of the author, the genre, the text type. It's got the name of the text. It's got this little phrase here, is centered around, which is possibly instead of saying is about, is centered around. It's just a little bit of a lift in terms of your vocabulary. And then a really generic opening sentence that talks about the fact that it's about slavery on a Virginian plantation. That hits the name of the text, text type, author, and setting. You could use that sentence for pretty much any essay. It's not brilliant, but it does the job. So feel free to use it, especially if you just want to get the medium or the high, then something really, really generic for an opening sentence like this will work. And then I'm going to write my 3 paragraph ideas. So for this one, I've thought that slavery is brutal and harsh and violent, and therefore it leads to hopelessness, is my point 1. My point 2 is that they kind of have given up fighting against the system. There's many slaves, like I'm thinking about Whitechapel, who is subservient and obedient and no longer dreams of freedom. Okay, and so the slaves, many of them, have given up fighting, might be my second point. And my third point is going to be, however, it's my challenge of the topic. So, however, many characters, or not many characters, there are examples of characters who still have hope for a better life, a better future. And I'm thinking of Lydia and Chapel, and to some extent, great granddaughter / great grandmother. Okay. So they should, sentence by sentence, look like this. So the narrative presents the hardships and brutality of slavery, which leads to much hopelessness for the slaves. Okay, that's my point 1. That's going to be what my body paragraph 1's about. Then I have to find a second body paragraph, this idea, the slaves have given up fighting. So notice sentences like Dugois shows, Dugois presents, Dugois reveals, those kind of stepping above the text phrases. We're talking about the author's choices, not the characters like they're real people. So we'll say stuff like Dugois shows that many of the slaves are resigned to their fate. Okay? They've given up and they've submitted to the harsh system and have no hope for a better life. Okay? So there's hopelessness because people have stopped fighting. Number 3. However, Dugois also presents some characters who seek to continue to fight for justice. Well, that's terrible, isn't it? Who continue to fight for justice and seek to change the system. Okay, Lydia, Chapel, etc. Body paragraph 1, body paragraph 2, body paragraph 3. Then my final part, so I've done my paragraph ideas in the order that they're going to appear in my essay. I'm kind of basically, it's, you know, when you're in primary school and you used to write an essay and it looked like this. They actually taught you to write like this in primary school. In this essay, I'm going to be writing about the longest memory, and my main ideas are going to be that slavery is brutal, that slaves have given up, and that although that life is hard, that some characters still try to change the system. You can't use "I'm going to write about," but you have to say that without saying it, which is why I want you to use phrases like Deguar shows, Deguar seeks to convey, Deguar presents, etc., etc. And then our contention statement is going to be the answer. So that comes right back to here, and I'm going to say agree or disagree. Now, it's okay with a "do you agree" to kind of give a half-half answer as long as you're clear about it. So mine's going to look like this. Therefore, while there is much hopelessness in the world of the novel, it is not only a world of pessimism, but also provides hope for change. Okay, so it's kind of like there is hopelessness, but it's not only hopelessness. There is some hope that exists. Now, if you chose not to write that, if you chose to say it was only hopeless, I actually wouldn't disagree with you, because while Lydia and Chapel have hope for change, ultimately Chapel's premature death through his whipping would probably devastate both of them, and the reality is change didn't come for quite a long time for the slaves of North America. So you wouldn't be wrong if you chose to completely agree with this topic. But I don't know, I just felt like there was a sense of hope in the way that they were presented as characters. So I wanted to capture that idea, which is why I've chosen this. You wouldn't have to, it's up to you. And so that's basically the TPC style of introduction that will completely answer the topic here and lay out the arguments or the main points that I'm going to make in supporting that contention. I hope this helps you guys. Happy writing!